15 years ago, Doctor Who came back, and ever since I've been fully invested in watching the centuries-old alien get in a box and show up anywhere in the universe. So strange how much of the universe is taken up by modern-day Britain. 12 series later, and a lot has happened, so I thought I'd do kind of summary retrospective kind of thing. There's 15 years worth of television to get through, so let's get right into it. Series 1 introduces Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, who happens to be my favourite Doctor. In episode 1, Rose, we meet Rose, the best companion of New Who. The Doctor blows up her shop, follows her home, rips her boyfriend's head off before kidnapping her to take her to watch the Earth get insulted on Reddit.
About half an hour, and the planet gets roasted.
When the Doctor finally gets Rose home, those things from a TV show I watched as a kid show up and crash a spaceship into an old clock, in a strange dimension where all numbers are placed backwards. The Doctor chases a pig through a corridor, and blows up the flatulent Raxacoricophalopatorians with vinegar. Next up, the duo travels forwards in time to the high-reaching future that is 2012. The Doctor gets angry at a bronze wheelie bin with a plunger, before it gets so depressed at this relentless abuse it just decides to kill itself.
Rid the universe of your filth! Why don't you just die?
Thus marking the end of the Daleks once and for all. At the end of the episode, the Doctor kidnaps somebody else and takes them to a space station where they get a hole drilled in the head. Meanwhile, Sam and Peg can't find the thermostat, and co-star Nick Frost plays this huge, disgusting, rancid, dripping parasite on the ceiling.
I call him Max.
In another two-parter, the Doctor and Rose travel to World War II where they meet Captain Jack, who just wants to do it with absolutely anyone. Seriously, there's like no limit, I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, everyone seems to be catching coronavirus because they aren't social distancing. This doesn't seem to bother Rose, as the only thing she wants to do is dance with the Doctor.
You got the moves? Show me your moves.
Rose, I'm trying to resonate concrete.
In the end, we find out the real cure was love. In the series finale, the Doctor, Rose and Captain Jack each get sent to their own game show, where the stakes are basically win or be forced to resemble the fate of the original Red Dwarf crew.
That's me there, that pile of albino mouse droppings.
We find out the Daleks are behind all this. I guess it makes sense how they want to create entertainment for themselves since there's now 500,000 of them. The Doctor and crew go to meet the big boy, and find out these new Daleks are actually made out of human remains.
You hate your own existence.
The Doctor comes up with a plan to save the day, but decides it's too dangerous for Rose, so he sends her home. Rose doesn't like this, so she cracks up in the TARDIS, returns to the Doctor and types /kill all on the Daleks. The Doctor then removes her admin powers and changes his skin to become David Tennant, who happens to be my favourite Doctor. In Tennant's first outing, he spends most of the episode asleep before he gets his hand cut off in a sword fight, except he doesn't because... Series 2 begins with the Doctor and Rose going to New Earth, where we find a hospital where cat people, just go with it, where cat people have managed to find the cure for absolutely everything, apart from coronavirus. To keep up appearances, they lock all the COVID-19 patients in a huge underground vault. They break out though, and the Doctor saves the day by giving them literally all of the cures for all of the diseases. Having finally become a doctor by curing every patient in the hospital, it's only natural that he decides to become a teacher in contemporary Britain.
Physics, eh? Physics. 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 But when he's getting all this down, yes.
Are you the Doctor?
Correctamundo.
We end up meeting classic companion Sarah Jane Smith, and we find out the teachers are forcing the students into a LAN party where they can't leave until they've given EA enough money to unlock all of the DLC. Mickey attempts to get them out so the kids don't exceed the parents' credit card limit.
Okay, listen everyone, we gotta get out of here.
In the end, one of the parents saves the day by paying for all of the DLC themselves.
See that? Barclay card. That's a 12 grand credit limit right there, dear.
It's an episode where the enemy is whoever allowed this episode to air, and a woman gets turned into a paving slab.
It's a relationship of sorts. We manage. We've even got a bit of a love life.
Can it suck his dick?
In the next episode, the enemy is Art, and the day gets saved by a bean, I don't know. Into the finale, the Doctor uses some void staff to suck a quadrillion Cybermen and Daleks into the void, thus marking the end of the Daleks once and for all. Sadly, we end up losing Rose when she gets trapped in a parallel dimension, and the Doctor gets the big sad, when all of a sudden, Donna, the best companion of New Who, shows up inside the TARDIS.
What?
Donna needs to get to a wedding, but you'd never know.
I'm in my wedding dress!
Yes, you look lovely. Come on.
She decides not to go with the Doctor and we never see her again. Series 3 begins with the Doctor taking his time in front of Martha, the best companion of New who turns out to be training to become a Doctor. In some sort of weird role reversal, it's the companion who's the Doctor and the Doctor is now a patient. Except the patient is actually still the Doctor and the Doctor isn't a doctor yet. Clear. There's upside down rain and the hospital gets sent to the moon. A swarm of big ol' rhino boys comes looking for an alien, the alien in question being this old woman who owns 2 Stigs. The rhinos find her, kill her in cold blood, and send the hospital back to Earth. The Doctor shows up after Martha's family start a domestic, and to prove to her that he can actually travel in time, he goes to the beginning of the episode to take off his tie in front of her. Time travel! They go back to New Earth, but this time everyone's in a traffic jam. That's the episode. The episode is traffic. They go to New York to meet Spider-Man? No, they really do. The Daleks are back and a bit strapped for cash, so they go to work making the Empire State Building. Forgetting that they have no hands, they hire some locals to get them to do the work instead. Turns out the Daleks just wanted to fund a little science project they were working on. That experiment being sucking a man through a nondescript orifice to create what can only be described as nightmare fuel. For the sake of the audience, the remaining Daleks kill the abomination, but they get killed too, thus marking the end of the Daleks once and for all. Blink is the scariest episode of Doctor Who of all time, and continued to scare me when I got a Weeping Angel action figure that I would trap in a box, only for it to reappear when my mum would put it back on the shelf. But she didn't tell me, and I thought I had a real Weeping Angel in my room out to get me. Captain Jack hitches a ride on the TARDIS, only for it to travel to the end of the universe, which looks suspiciously like a quarry. They find a professor who's trying to build a rocket to Utopia, except there is no Utopia, but the professor didn't know that. And he also didn't know that he wasn't the Professor, but he was in fact the Master. He nicks the TARDIS, not before regenerating into John Sim. The Doctor and crew uses Captain Jack's watch to travel back to 2007, where they find the Master is now the Prime Minister. He goes onto that helicarrier from the Avengers and imprisons everyone on it, including Martha's family. Yes, he really did enslave the family of black people. He makes the Doctor an old boy, and then an even older boy, whilst Martha spends a year going around the whole world telling people about the Doctor, so that when everyone says his name at the exact same time, the Doctor can... The Master is so stumped by what just happened, he just dies on the spot. Martha can't keep up with the rent on the TARDIS, so she leaves the Doctor on his own, just in time for him to get hit by the Space Titanic.
What?
Titanic 2 Electric Boogaloo is run by an absolute mad lad with the best name in the world.
And I should know, because my name is Max.
All he wants to do is kill everyone on board and everyone on the Earth so he can retire. I mean, is that really too much to ask? Apparently the Doctor thinks so, but doesn't have a problem with leaving an old man on his own, all alone. Nothing to his name but a measly credit card worth £1 million. Yeah! Series 4 sees the return of Donna, and people are trying out a new weight loss pill that actually genuinely works, though the fat does peel itself off until you're nothing but a pile of quadruple XL keks on the ground. Martha summons the Doctor so he can stop people driving Peugeots into rivers.
It knows where I am on the planet, and then it can get me to my house. All I have to do is as I'm told.
I'll find my own way, thanks.
And the kid who's been selling the Peugeots is just,
The Atmos system could make things worse.
Yeah, well, see, that's a tautology. You can't say Atmos system, because it stands for atmospheric emission system. So you're saying atmospheric emission system. Do you see, Mr. Conditional Clause?
We find out how awful life would be if the Doctor had died prior to the events of Series 3.
Leeds? I'm not moving to Leeds.
And Rose turns up to tell us that the season finale is basically going to be Avengers Endgame.
Oh my god!
Everyone is here, but they all have to meet over Skype because the Daleks have quarantined them. I skipped ahead to when they actually get to go outside, but inadvertently switched to the German dub.
Ich heiße Martha Jones. Ich komme von Unit Agentin 56671 von der medizinischen Abteilung.
Es hieß, sie kämen vorbei.
After messing around for a bit, the Doctor gets told by a woman that the postman's going to arrive soon.
He will knock 4 times.
Then the Master gets resurrected and decides he wants everyone on Earth to be exactly like him.
There is no human race. There is only the Master Race.
Dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich ein.
Thanos arrives from the actual Infinity War, only to be stopped by the Master putting his hands out a few times.
I have the power of God and anime on my side. Wait,
Wilf the mad lad goes and gets the Doctor killed 20 minutes before the end of the episode, so Tennant has to go around meeting past companions to fill out the time so he can put extra mid-roll ads in. Finally decides to change his skin again to my favourite Doctor, Matt Smith, destroying the set in the process. The 11th Doctor crashes into a little girl's garden, eats fish fingers and custard, looks at a crack in a bedroom wall, then decides he doesn't want his companion to be a small child, so runs off to the future. Eventually he even gets bored of the adult version and goes to visit James Corden instead, and I'm pretty sure this episode is actually just a documentary where Matt Smith starts living with him. In the series finale, to prevent the Doctor from destroying the universe, all of the Doctor's enemies band together and trap him in a box, as a result of which the universe gets destroyed. Except Stephen Moffat has now trapped the only hope of saving the universe in a prison. So he collapsed on his typewriter and got the Doctor to teleport in with a fez and a mop, having just got out of the Pandorica, so he could travel back in time and tell Rory how to get him out of the Pandorica, so he could travel back in time and tell Rory how to get him out of the Pandorica. The day is saved when the Doctor uses the Pandorica along with an exploding TARDIS to restart the universe with a second Big Bang. It makes marginally more sense in the episode, I swear. The Doctor wants to change his skin again, but this time the Minecraft servers are down, so he has to use an alternate account for the rest of the series. I can't remember what happens after that. And with that, my favourite Doctor regenerates for the first time into a woman. Series 12 was alright. I've hardly slept for 2 days, and I need to get this video out on time. I'm gonna try one more time to do this line, and if I can't, you'll know why it sounds like a slurred mess in the video. So he collapsed on his typewriter and got the Doctor to teleport in with a fez and a mop, having just got out of the Pandorica, so he could travel back in time and tell Rory how to get him out of the Pandorica, so he could travel back in time and tell Rory how to get him out of the Pandorica. Yes!